Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert, that's me. This video contains things that I encounter throughout the day. If for some reason I complete a task and you would like to see the details, you can click on the link in the description area below. This video also contains tips and tricks that I learned throughout the years. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. Thank you very much for watching. What's happening, party people? I am in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Still down here with Juan to take care of his S70. We took care of the primary problem that he was concerned with and having trouble with, coolant leak. However, he has several other things going on. Since I'm here, I'll go ahead and handle that stuff as well. I don't get down here often. It's a kind of a one-shot deal for him, so we're hanging out down here with him. And he's got a comfortable place here. Actually has kind of like a Airbnb guest quarters, totally separate from the house. We're staying there, so we're not racking up hotel bills, which is fortunate for him. I could hang out a little longer if he doesn't have to pay hotel bills. So I know you guys know I call this hostage situation. Waiting on parts to arrive. They may get here today. I doubt it. They'll probably get here tomorrow, hopefully. Man, I can't imagine if they're not here by tomorrow. Man, I think this is Thursday. That'll put me getting out of here Saturday, driving back home 10.5 hours. After I get home 10.5 hours, I'm going to probably relax a day, and then I'm gonna head out and pick up a 850R for a guy in Illinois that has a burnt valve. Planning on fixing that sometime soon. So right now you are looking at Highway 65 in Arkansas, between I think it's Harrison, Arkansas and Conway, Arkansas. Some beautiful highway road, pretty comfortable to drive. Nice and windy. If your car handles well, you enjoy that. So I just decided to give you guys a little bit of that scenery. Besides that, I'm finishing up my walk down here in Mississippi. It's not too bad. I think it's about 72 degrees, something like that. And I'm just walking along, enjoying the scenery. So anyway, I wanted to talk to you guys about a few things. Number one, man, I don't know how to say this, but traveling's getting a little difficult with Diane. She's not traveling well. So I know I have commitments. I don't know if I'm going to be able to travel beyond the current commitments that I have. So right now, I'm committed to pick up a couple of vehicles that I have out there. One's mine, one not mine. Pick up those vehicles. Number two, have commitments to help people with maintenance, repairs, modifications, stuff like that out in the New York area. So once I leave here, I'm headed home. When I get home, I'm probably going to take a day, get some things together. Then I got to hit Illinois to check on one guy's S70 and pick up this 850R in Illinois. Tow that back home, assess that, and order parts for that. Then I'm headed to New York. I have a manual swap for James. I may have a manual swap for another guy up there that has already paid for the manual swap kit. Not sure if I got everything together to do that manual swap. Then I have Francis's head that I got to put on his engine, do a engine swap in his 850, replace the clutch for him. And then there's another gentleman out there that has a 850, possibly with a blown head, and several things I'm gonna be doing in the New York area. This guy here I met in Mississippi, he was concerned with a coolant leak. That's why I came. And as with many of these stops, I get there, there's 12 other things that need to be addressed, I could pack up and abandon the situation, but I usually don't do that because I'm already here, and some of these areas don't have other mechanics that are willing to do this stuff correctly. So I usually stay and do it. So I don't know how long I'll be in New York. I'm gonna stay there until I get the people that have needs there situated. Then I'm gonna go back home. Oh yeah, in between me picking up the car in Illinois, I got a car to pick up in Pennsylvania that I purchased, T5 wagon. Anyway, after I leave the New York area, go home, maybe go home, then I'm headed out to Chicago. Then I'm gonna stay in the Chicago area as long as people in the Chicago area need me. And after that, I have no more commitments or obligations to do anything. So that may end my traveling for now. I'm not sure. I just have to see how Diane does these next month or two. And then I'll decide whether or not I want to continue to travel, because my plans was to head out west and help and visit some folks out west, pick up stuff out of my storage in Albuquerque, try to close those storage units down, and just do other things out there that people would like to have done. But if traveling is difficult, I don't do difficult well. I mean, it's not necessary for me to complicate my life. I want to help. Man, the videos are a big help to a lot of people, but the health and comfort of Diane is primary. There's nothing more important to me than her being comfortable and peaceful. So anyway, that's where I'm at. So not sure if I'm going to be traveling. I said all that to say this: I don't mind you contacting me, asking me if you're still on the schedule or no or not. But if you ask me what my schedule is like, that's what my schedule's like. I don't have a date as to when I'll be there. Wish I did. I just don't. I don't know. I'm trying to take care of people in my commitment schedule that have vehicles that are disabled. So if you have a disabled vehicle, you are top priority. That's why I got out to Springfield, Missouri as quick as I could. That's why I went down to help Ando pull a cylinder head on his car. That's why I'm down here in Hattiesburg. This guy's car was leaking coolant in a way that he couldn't drive it. My primary deal after this is pick up that car in Illinois. The gentleman that's getting that car doesn't have a car. He's borrowing somebody else's car. I mean, that's not my problem, but this is what I could do to help him. Then I'm headed out to the New York area and help Gregory get his 850 together so that he can get that back on the road. It, I believe, burned a valve and it had a slipping clutch. So that thing needs to be put together so that he can drive that instead of his antique car. And then I'm trying to focus on taking care of people that I want to help, that be a pleasure to help convert cars to manual transmission, and help my Uncle Steve tinker on his cars. That stuff's fun to me. I want to do it. That's fun, So anyway, then get back over to Chicago. Man, if God told me you got one more chance to move, where you gonna go? I'd probably say Chicago. There's still time to change my mind, but I don't know. I just like Chicago. I'm sure I won't like a Chicago winter. I'll be wanting to spend a couple of weeks or a couple of months hanging out with my Volvo buddies in Arizona and Southern Cal. But man, I just like Chicago. I don't know why. I have fun hanging out with Alex at Swedish Car Parts. I enjoy my buddy John and Sebastian, and the food there. I don't know if you could get better food anywhere. I've had some good food in New York and Cincinnati, but I don't know if I could have any better food in Chicago, man. I'm trying to think if I ever had a bad meal in Chicago. I don't think so. And Diane loves the pizza, so that's a plus too. Anyway, that's where I'm at. So if you contact me and say, hey, what's your schedule like? That's what it's like. I don't know what day I can make it there, but I am planning on making it. So I appreciate you guys watching. Hope you enjoyed the scenery and hope you enjoyed the rest of the day's video. Here we are, folks, checking out Andos 850. He says it's blown the head gasket, so we're supposed to be pulling the head off of it. Looks like he hadn't got started, so I want to make sure it cranks before I do anything. I don't know if the block's locked up. He's had it sitting for a while, and if he's had it sitting with water, the block could be locked up. So let's see what's going to happen here and see what else we can get into today. Maybe visit a friend or two. Well, Ando was replying to every text immediately. Now that I'm here, can't get him to reply to any messages. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, tear this thing apart. And if he don't want it torn apart, he's going to have a problem because I'm going to get started on it. So let me go put some mosquito repellent on because they're already eating me alive. Change my shirt and get cracking. Remove the throttle body cover, put the screw back in there. Remove these screws from here, get that out of the way, set those screws up there, remove this bracket off of here, T25, set it up there, remove the bracket from down there on this fuel line here, set that there. Actually, you could put it back on the bracket once the fuel line's loose. You take the fuel line loose from the fuel rail there. Next, we're going to take that 8mm loose there, and I got the fuel rail screw out there, I'm going to pop the fuel rail, move it out of the way. We're going to take the air box out of the way. We unplug the mass airflow sensor. We're going to take the clamp loose down there, undo the air pump hose, undo the wires on the back of the air box, and disconnect this breather here to the air box. And lift the air box up, set it out of the way. Next, he's taking the 3 screws out of the distributor cap, 1, 2, 3, and pulling that off with all the wires, and he's going to disconnect it over there. Or just lay it down on top of the battery tray. Got the fuel rail loose, this line loose, put that screw back in there. Take the whole manifold with the throttle body still connected and swing it to the side. So that's what we're going to do next, is take these screws out of the manifold. Since we got the fuel injectors out of them. Just leave it there until we get the manifold off. When you can take the manifold off, you got to take that loose. Be careful you don't break anything with the PCV when you're removing the manifold. So you should have a 12 down here, a 12 under the bracket. Take this loose and then take your 10s out of there. Next, you pull the rotor. We pulled the dust cap off, and we're going to pull that cam sensor back there and pull these 2 discs off of the cams so they'll be out of the way when we put on new cam seal. I'm taking this box out because it's easier for me to get the serpentine belt stuff out. So I pulled this here. I'm going to unclip the top of this box. I pulled the 2 computers out. Took the 5 screws out of this heat shield there. You got 2 down there and you got 3 across the back. Now you're going to pull that heat shield up. Those are the screws that go in there. Put those together so you know where they go. I had to muscle that heat shield out of here. Next, I'm going to take those 2 screws out of there to release that from the exhaust manifold. Now that that's loose from the exhaust manifold, I got to take the exhaust manifold bolts loose and then take the water pipe bolts loose from right there, and then we're going to take this loose here, this bracket that goes onto the side of that. Yuck, this thing is connected to the exhaust manifold. There's a 13 behind there and they're impossible to reach. So we're going to try to take this bolt off of here and maybe that'll help us reach this 13. So I'm going to put some heat on it for a couple of minutes and then see if I can get it to twist off. That's usually a 22, but I'm not sure what that one is. And I took all the exhaust manifold bolts off. Now I'm going to take a 10mm and get those 2 off the water pipe. Heated that sucker up with some MAP gas, and then after I got it broke loose, unscrewed all the way, it has normal threads on it. The pipe was stuck in the exhaust manifold. So I tapped on the end of that to tap it out. So now hopefully I can get a 13 on there and remove that bolt, and then we'll be ready to start unbolting the top of the head. We got that last nut off, which is kind of a good deal. All of the studs stayed in the head, which is good for hanging your exhaust manifold gaskets. So next we're going to break all these tins off the top of this head, rip them out, and then pop that cover off. I think I brought my custom tool for popping that off. I'm pretty sure I brought it. And then we're going to take the head bolts out, and Ando could take it to the shop, get it made true, and then let it sit another 3 years before he puts it back together. I didn't bring my cover spreader, so we spun the cams to get that thing to pop up. Then when I was getting the cover loose, I thought it was loose, and the back of it somehow got stuck on the cam. I lifted it up about 2 inches, cracked the head up here. So that's not a killer. You could tap that back in and it'll be okay, but you want to avoid those cams coming up with the cover, because they do, if you lift up the back or the front, they'll bust the journals. Now you want the machine shop to make sure the head's true, but if they're going to vac clean it and clean it, you might want to take the cover with it, you know, just to make sure. And if the head's warped, if they got the cover, they can make sure it's done right. I had to take the cover back for Elizabeth's head. It was warped so bad on her first head job on her S70. It's severely warped, but man, she was driving around with blown head for months. Next, we're going to break all 12 of the head bolts loose. You want to do that in a certain pattern, quarter turn at a time, so you don't warp the head no worse than it already is warped. There you go, folks. The head is off. Exhaust manifold still there. Nice. No oil sludge in there. He's going to order some new valve stem seals and put this thing back together. I have no idea how long this is going to be off, so I'm going to put something in the ports, tissue or rags, intake manifold ports, exhaust manifold ports. I just don't want nothing crawling in there and making a nest. And we're done. 2 hours, head removed. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.